So, Dwarajik, I think the question of the hour right now is, are there really talks going on between China and the U.S.? What is your sense of what's going on? Is there some back channeling? Is there a chance of President Trump and President Xi actually just getting on the phone and hashing this out in the near future?
Well, Frank, I think by all indications, governments always talk to one another. The question is at what level? And what I suspect is happening right now is what I call reconnaissance at the cabinet level, certainly not at the leader to leader level, but they're trying to find some common ground to see if there is, in fact, a deal to be had at some point. But, again, I would be very, very reluctant to suggest that there's a leader to leader conversation. That's just not the way the Chinese system works. They're going to try and work this from the bottom and work its way up. But what I also think they're trying to do, Frank, is figure out whether or not the U.S. can meet the preconditions that China has set for these negotiations. You'll remember they laid out a set of things that they're looking for. And one of those things, Frank, is what are we negotiating about? Is it trade deficits? Are you looking for fentanyl relief? They have no idea what they're really negotiating. And that's on the U.S. to really be clear here about what we want. What are we trying to achieve with the 145% tariff that we've levied?
Chinese leaders have also asked for, I guess, more respectful dialogue. I'm not sure how they're going to receive the president's comments up in Michigan yesterday, where he really seemed steadfast about those tariffs. So here's another question I would imagine that the Trump administration is trying to figure out, and a lot of companies are trying to figure out. How much longer can this really last? Now, we know the president's facing some pressure from retailers, warning of empty shelves, from auto companies asking them for some type of relief, from probably tech companies looking for carve-outs. So he's feeling a lot of pressure. What about Xi? Is he feeling any internal pressure? And as an economy, how much longer can China last with these kind of exports from China to the U.S. really seeming to dry up?
Yeah, this is a very good question, Frank. Let me start by saying in 2018, when we launched that trade war, it took, and again, these were much smaller numbers. We're talking 25% levy on the U.S. side across a range of goods, but it took 22 months roughly to get a deal. Now, these numbers are much larger. I think the threshold likely for both of these economies are going to be much lower. We're already starting to see things bite with respect to China. But I think the belief here is, at least on China's behalf, is that they can hold out for much longer. And so I think, unfortunately, this is a game of chicken, and this thing will likely be pushed to the line. And you're going to see a situation where each side will evaluate how the public is responding. Xi has less pressure to respond to public sentiment than Trump does, is the argument here. So I suspect we're not close, Frank, but I think at some point each side will reach a threshold. But if it takes a leader-to-leader meeting, Frank, that may not happen until an APEC, say, in South Korea that's happening in November 2025. Doesn't mean we can't start negotiating before then, but if it takes a leader-to-leader in the room type of deal, we have a long ways to go before I see the two of them getting together. I think it's probably APEC in Korea in November.